Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You just kind of saw me interact with Tyrese on the Discord. But the real news and the real breaking stuff, guys, here we go. This is the most wonderful time of the year. This is NBA free agency live here on the chart, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions. I hope you guys are enjoying your Monday afternoon wherever you're at. I'm sure, Justin, if you're gonna watch the stream, I'm sure you're happy as hell right now because you just got Lonzo Ball to the Chicago Bulls. That is going to be a fun team to watch. I'm curious to see how that Chicago Bulls team can kind of reinvent themselves and try to get into the playoffs. That was the plan last year, signing Vucevic. But nevertheless, like I said, we are here to talk. And we're here to talk about the NBA free agency. It is officially opened. It opened up about 5 minutes ago. And as you can tell by some of the stuff we have here today, let me go to the live scene as we get ready to get going. We got to talk about our first story of the day, and that is, of course, Lonzo Ball signing with the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo Ball has agreed to a 4-year, $85 million deal with Chicago. I think Chicago was the team that probably could offer the kid the most money, which we obviously knew that was going to happen. I was hoping for the Celtics, but unfortunately, he just went to Chicago. I'm not sure how well that team will go together. I still have my doubts on it, but nevertheless, Lonzo Ball is officially a Chicago Bull. I think unless the Pelicans are going to match it, but I don't think that they are going to, so I think it is officially done. Obviously, Lonzo Ball being a client of Rich Paul, aka dating Miss Adele, which is actually pretty dope as hell that he is dating a celebrity pop superstar, from his humble beginnings, so that's kudos to Rich Paul. But we're not here to talk about their relationship. We're here to talk about NBA free agency, man. It is officially here, boys and girls. It is officially here to talk this talk. Right now, like I said, we got a lot of breaking news. Looks like Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to be going back to Dallas. Man, I just can't believe it's already here, man. Just like a couple weeks ago, we had Giannis and the Bucks win their championship. We just had the NBA draft in our 7-hour live stream. If you guys are interested, go and check that out. Me and my boy Pete go into great detail about that NBA draft and to kind of talk about who we liked, what we disliked, and also the next day we had a winners and losers. Tyrese joined me on the stream as well yesterday, and now we got to talk about today with the free agency news and rumors. But nevertheless, hopefully you guys are doing well on the charge. I hope you guys are doing well in general. This to me is going to be a fun, like I said, NBA off-season type of situation. Like I said, Lonzo Ball agreed to the deal. Like I said in yesterday's stream, I am not too sure about this one. This one to me, like in terms of Lonzo Ball kind of staying committed in terms of, like, do I think this team will be a playoff team next year? I don't think so. Whenever Justin comes in here, whether it's live or whether he's rewatching this video, I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure that the fit works. I think that in terms of what you can get from the Chicago Bulls, I just don't think their roster is quite ready yet to compete in the playoffs. I think that you still have to deal with Charlotte, who definitely got better, whether in the draft and also in free agency. I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about in that sense. Again, we got so many deals. We got Mike Conley agreeing to a 3-year deal with the Jazz. It kind of sucked to see that he didn't get to play last year in that playoffs series against the LA Clippers. You were hoping that he would be able to kind of help out in that playoff series. That is Mike Conley. But unfortunately, that is kind of the reality of what we're seeing right now. And that's, of course, that, they're not really they lost their series, and Mike Conley has agreed to a 3-year deal. Again, I don't think this is necessarily as bad as I think people will think. The reason why I don't think it's not as bad is because when you really look at things, that again, we do have a subscription and a merch link if you are interested in joining the channel for the merch and, of course, kind of getting that stuff done. But again, like I said, I think Mike Conley, it's, again, if you don't see that it works out with him and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, you can obviously trade him away, and it's a team-friendly deal to where they can get another superstar in return for Mike Conley. Like I said, we also see Tim Hardaway Jr. played really well for the Dallas Mavericks last year. I think Luka Doncic really likes his game. I think he likes him as a player. So you definitely got some great news there for Luka Doncic stands and also Luka Doncic fans to have a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. join you in the team and just kind of get you going in that aspect. Lakers are still continuing to explore ways to trade for Buddy Hield. It's I'm not so sure about that one, but we also got breaking news that Steph Curry has officially tied himself to the Bay Area for life, as Steph Curry and the Warriors have agreed to a 4-year, $215 million contract extension as the offseason begins. This is probably a huge get for the Warriors, but it also is a very worrying sign for Steph Curry, because now you have to deal with the fact that you never know if you're going to get to a championship again. You have such a young roster right now with Kuminga and Moody, who's also a very young guard. And so that to me is very interesting, and it's kind of crazy to think that, Curry just signed a $201 million contract, and now he's going to sign a $215 million contract. What's up, Sean? How are you doing, good sir? My intern, how you doing, man? This is kind of the other breaking news. That one kind of goes under the radar. The one that is more interesting to me, because I think this kind of holds dear to my heart, is due to the fact that we have a friend that's that's a huge fan of the Atlanta Hawks, and that's of course that the John Collins Hawks are nowhere close on a new contract. John Collins and the Atlanta Hawks are currently not close to a contract. He'll be a restricted free agent this offseason, so obviously the Hawks will have a chance to match that contract and keep their player. And they weren't unable to extend the contract last offseason. I'm concerned in that aspect because I do believe that they need to run it back with that same squad with John Collins. The question is going to be, what teams are interested in John Collins at this point. I haven't heard any sort of huge rumors about John Collins going anywhere. Maybe the San Antonio Spurs is what I originally heard. I'm not so sure that they want to do that, just due to the fact that they're a very young team. They're nowhere near close to getting ready for the playoffs, and so I think that'd be kind of a waste of money, in my opinion, where they could definitely go with the young route and try and get younger players to see if they can't form something there. Again, we're going to talk about the breaking news as it happens. I'll make sure to be on my Twitter game, kind of looking up Shams. I think Sham is probably the person to look at as we kind of enter that free agency. It looks like Jarrett Allen has agreed to a 5-year, $100 million to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is kind of crazy. They should trade Collins and move up to the top 5 in the draft. Are you talking about next year's draft with Chet and Paulo and all those guys, Sean? And again, for everyone joining, thank you once again for joining the charge. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, the biggest breaking news was, of course, that Lonzo Ball, what's the Twitter handle? So the Twitter handle for the charge, and I want to shout out Sean, who is our Twitter intern for us, and I'll look at Shams, but this is our Twitter right here. I'll show you. It's at the charge stream. We got a huge YouTube following. This is kind of what we do. Well, not really huge following, right? 25 to 11. But we are on our way growing this stuff. Sean does a great job, like I said, of helping out on the Twitter. I do appreciate when he does it. We got a lot of stuff talking about the Olympics losing to France. Of course, we talked about the Bucks winning the championship. So it is at the charge stream. That is the Twitter handle if you are interested in kind of getting our thoughts and our opinions, especially. I meant this year because they were shopping Cam and Reddish for the 20 pick to move up and didn't do it. I think you have to run it back. I think when you really think about it, the Hawks were just injury, honestly, away from getting to the championship game. And because they were injury away, I think you should run it back with the squad that you already had. I know that it'd be hard because you also have to deal with the John Collins situation. Oh, yeah, man. I hope to see some good trolling on NBA Twitter from Sean. Yeah, man. Sean is our resident troll for the charge. So, like I said, if you are interested in our Twitter handle and kind of our tweets, I will tweet time to time. Maybe I should put my name when I do tweet. But for the most part, we got our Twitter intern doing this thing for us on the charge. But nevertheless, you know, free agency, like I talked about, Jared Allen has signed a 100-year deal to re-sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, I'm curious to see how Jared Allen and Evan Mobley would work out together. You know, I think you should try and see if you can't trade Jared Allen. I mean, it's a friendly deal to trade away anything there. Jermichael Green has agreed to a 2-year deal to return to the Denver Nuggets. The Chicago Bulls are sending Tony Sandusky, Garrett Temple, and a second-round pick to New Orleans for Lonzo Ball, who signed a contract extension, so they got a little bit of something there. It looks like Miami is re-signing and extending Butler's max contract to $184 million. What's up, Justin? I know you're happy as hell right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous of your signing. That's awesome for the city of Chicago, man. As much as I did not want him to go there, I think for you guys and just kind of Chicago in general, it's a great thing to see that you know, Chicago is returning slowly to becoming that city again that can get free agents to come and really get their footing down and try to hopefully get a championship, you know, kind of like the old days of the 90s. But you know, it is good to see that Lonzo Ball is going to step away from that New Orleans mess, which to me kind of signifies, and I'll kind of mute the audio really quick, to me it kind of signifies the end is nigh for Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans relationship, unless something happens in the trade that allows them to get another superstar player. You know, I think you're still waiting on the Brandon Ingram experiment to kind of work out between those two. I'm not so sure it'll work out just yet, but who knows? I could be wrong with that. Again, we do have Jimmy Butler re-signing to a long-term extension. It looks like the Dallas Mavericks are going to keep their guy Boban. And I think that's really it at this point. You know, we'll see what Shams has to say really quick.
And that might come to a surprise to a lot of people because John Collins is a restricted free agent. But as of right now, there is not really a momentum toward that as of yet. But listen.
Do you see Zion taking the qualified offer and leaving? Yeah, I see him definitely taking the qualifying offer and trying to get out of there as soon as possible. I think the Pelicans front office and just the Pelicans in general have not done a good enough job to convince Zion to stay. Yeah, Garpex said the Bulls franchise back so many years. Acting have a lot of work to do to we're back on track. Yeah, definitely. I'll get to your question in just a second, or your, I should say, response, Justin, in just a second. But, you know, yeah, I do see that Zion will be taking the qualifying offer and trying to get out of there ASAP, man. I don't anticipate Zion staying very long because he wants to win. He wants to be a champion. He wants to get into the playoffs. You know, this is 2 years in a row now. We talked about the bubble. We talked about kind of the playing game. This was designed for a guy like Zion, who was on a really kind of average to below average team, to get into the playoffs, to kind of make a name for himself in the NBA playoffs, where a lot of guys like Giannis did a couple years back when he was the #1 seed, you know, just kind of like those lower seeds, and really give them an opportunity to get into the playoffs. And obviously we've seen time in and time again that, you know, they just haven't built the roster around him, and it's just kind of like a Zion, you take the ball up, then Brandon Ingram, you take the ball up, and there's no real cohesion with the offense at the moment. I know that they fired Stan Van Gundy, but I think they need to do a much better job of getting their head coach that they want, and I just don't think that they're going to be able to do it for a guy like Zion, and even Brandon Ingram for that matter. You know, again, Brandon Ingram, we're still waiting for that offensive explosion. We're still waiting for that kind of all-star to almost all-NBA type of player. Even to this day, I'm not sure if it's going to happen anytime soon. It doesn't seem like it. And it seems like you're still hoping on potential with him and not really expecting too much. So we'll see what happens there. Again, I don't see Zion staying very long unless there's a huge trade that you trade Brandon Ingram and get another superstar to go to New Orleans and help Zion out, because I just don't see it at this point. Again, Justin, you said Garpax said the Bulls franchise back so many years behind. And it has a lot of work to do to organize it back on track. Yeah, I think you guys are in the right direction, though. My question for you guys, though, is going to be, how are you going to deal with the fact that Zach LaVine is starting to age a little bit more? Not saying that he's like, aging tremendously, right? He's going to be 27. But my worry is with the guy like with Zach LaVine is like, do you have the patience to kind of let some of these guys grow up and mature? Again, Patrick Williams has to take a huge step and leap in his progression so that the Chicago Bulls are ready for a playoff run. And I'm just not sure if Patrick Williams is that guy yet. I think defensively he does add a lot of value to your team, but my worry is he going to be able to do it next year or even the year after? Like I said, the prime is from like 26. Honestly, it's from 24 all the way to like 33, I would say, is like the prime. And then after that, it depends on the player and how well they take care of their bodies. And so who knows what it'll be for Zach LaVine at his age. You're having to wait. Honestly, I think Patrick Williams is like 19 or 20 years old. You have to wait another couple years for him to grow up and mature and develop as a player. Like, are you going to be able to wait that long? And also Vucevic as well. Vucevic is already 30 years old. Like, do you have the patience and wherewithal to wait for a guy like Vucevic as well? Or sorry, to wait for a guy like Patrick Williams when you have Vucevic, who's already aging at this point, and we'll see what happens in that scenario. Again, free agency has just begun, but it's a very exciting time to kind of see that we are getting a lot of breaking news as it appears to be continuing to come in. I know that these guys do their own show. I think Shams is on The Athletic or The Stadium or whatever they use to kind of talk about the show that they're talking about. But again, it is interesting to see what's going to be going on in this free agency. It looks like Kelly Olynyk has agreed to a 3-year, $37 million extension with the Detroit Pistons. I know that Tyrese, who unfortunately can't be here today just due to work and other things that he's doing. So, kind of appreciate him coming on when he can. And also my boy Pete as well for coming on when they can. But Kelly Olynyk, a guy that Tyrese wanted, is obviously not going to go to Boston. He's going to go to Detroit. And this kind of has me worried for the Boston Celtics right now because we haven't made any moves yet. So we'll see what happens there. Again, it's kind of an interesting situation to kind of look at. Like I said, the Warriors have agreed to an extension with Steph Curry. That's kind of like the biggest thing. We've seen Buddy Hield kind of be the guy that the Lakers are trying to target. I think a lot of teams are trying to target Buddy Hield at this point. I think that's kind of where they're going to be going to in the next coming years. $37 million for Kelly Olynyk is nothing to sneeze at for him. Congrats on making your money, man. But I'm not sure if he was worth that $37 million, in my opinion. I think he's a good player for what he does on the role of a team, but I just don't. I definitely do not see it in that aspect. Let me just double check to make sure here. Free agency, we kind of got the latest news and rumors. And especially, we got a lot of guys that are kind of in the count right now. Again, Kyle Lowry still, we don't know where he's going to be at. The New York Knicks and San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks are team to watch. Free agent Kelly Oubre, Tsunami Papi might be coming to a lot of different teams. Like I said, Mike Conley, just got the alert. Mike Conley has agreed to a deal with the Jazz. I think it's a good idea for Mike Conley to go back, like I said, to Utah to see if he can win a championship with Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and kind of be that number 1 to number 2 seed. I think he does a good job in that aspect. My question is going to be for that. Let me just make sure I'm getting to everybody's comments in case there is any that I am not seeing. I think that they can run it back, and I think they can do a good job with that. It'd be interesting to see who, Kelly Oubre decides to sign with. He's kind of one of those guys that took a real step back when he went to the Warriors. We thought that the Warriors was going to be a special place for him, a place where he can grow and develop and maybe even take another step forward. But I think it was kind of a step back at this point. It looks like Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns are going to reach a new deal tonight, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. I could definitely see that happening. Because I think the team just fits perfectly for Chris Paul. He's already on the West Coast, and I think that he wants his money. And as much as we would love to see the dream team of LeBron and Chris Paul, Chris Paul, I think he can make so much money. It's just, it'd be crazy to kind of not take that money, man. Like, the fact that, we didn't have to question that is kind of ridiculous. The stars could be aligning. Like I said, Kyle Lowry could be going to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat did sign Butler to a max deal. $184 million. So you definitely can see that there is a lot of excitement in Miami right now. DeMar DeRozan is choosing between the Lakers and the Heat of this moment. So we'll find out later today, like what team he decides to join. So we can see what happens. So the NBA has set the salary cap effective for August free agency of 112, and the cap projection for next year is going to be $4 million higher. It looks like, in terms of the salary cap itself, as the kind of like it's almost like a soft cap of 119. So there's definitely going to be an increase in that aspect. We'll see what happens in that situation. It's kind of one of those things. Linux, the Pistons, I just talked about that, Sean. Not really sure. I mean, other than maybe to help out a guy like Cade Cunningham, get an easy assist, but not really too sure what could happen there. I think the biggest thing for me, is just kind of like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I know that here on this tweet that I'm looking at down below, they talked about how you need to have a lot of size and length in order to compete in the NBA. But still, I think Evan Mobley as your center, I just don't see the value of adding Jared Allen. I think with him, it's still kind of potential with him as well. As much as Jared Allen has been in the league for a while, we're going to see what his growth and potential could be in the NBA relatively soon. And, I want to thank everybody that's here on the charge. We're going to continue talking free agency, but before we do and continue talking, seeing what else is new on the Twitter sphere, just remember that we do have a merchandise store. So if you are interested in merch and you mess with the stream heavy, we got t-shirts, we got mugs, we got hats as well. So if you are interested in joining the charge and Charge Nation, I should say, and kind of talking some NBA news and rumors, that's kind of where we're going to be at. Also, kind of wanted to let you know that we do have a Discord, and I'm going to kind of show you guys the Discord at the moment. Give you the link to join the Charge Discord. It's one of those things I kind of want to share with you guys. And I'm going to copy it and put it in the stream so you guys who are interested in joining, you guys can have a place to kind of check in that sense. But let me just double check. It'll let me do it. I don't think it will. Should make some $35 over $23 merch I would buy. What do you mean, Tar Heel Nation? You mean like make better? Are you saying like you want cheaper? I can't. $35 over $23 merch I would buy. What you mean by that, Tar Heel Nation? Just curious what you mean by that. Again, there's the Discord. If you are interested in joining our Discord, don't feel free to join in and kind of spew whatever you want to do. Talking about NBA, of course, sports as well in general. And again, we'll see what happens here. It looks like that the Mavericks will offer Luka a new 5-year, $202 million contract extension. So we'll see what that happens. Recalculating based on new info. KD better than Braun then? I don't know, man. I'll kind of stick to my kind of signal. But it is what it is at this point. Again, nothing really earth-shattering at this point. Like I said, my biggest thing when it comes to free agency is kind of looking at to see where some of these players will go. There was about 45 people that did enter the free agency market. Again, Jared Allen did sign that big extension, which is kind of crazy to think. But at the same time, like I said, it gives the Cavaliers some breathing room to where they could trade for another kind of scoring wing. And it would be interesting to see whether or not, the Sexland combo plus Evan Mobley and Jared Allen can be like the future of that team, and kind of get them and propel them to the playoffs. I think that Evan Mobley put himself in a really good situation, and I think the Cavaliers could be a team that could potentially compete for that spot of trying to get into the playoffs. As like the 10th or 9th seed. I think that's kind of a fun team to watch, so we'll be curious to see how those guys will play. And like I said, the salary cap implications of raising it. My only concern about the salary cap is because I'm hearing rumors that there could be another lockdown. That's kind of the rumors that I'm hearing so far. Kind of like doing my interwebs kind of discussion. So that's my only issue, or that's my only kind of. Hopefully, it does go to this. I think the economy right now is in full recovery mode at this point. And I'm just not so sure that it could be 119 million next year. I think there's going to still be a lot of losses that we need to recuperate from a year ago, and to get that stuff. So I'm not so sure about that contract, or I should say the salary cap increase to 119. It would be nice because then that means a couple of guys can get some good deals. But for my boy Pete, if you are watching, hope you're doing well. Appreciate you coming on to my streams all the time. And we'll probably have to stream sometime this week. But there is 2 New York Knicks rumors, or sorry, I should say news to talk about. Looks like Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks have agreed to new deals from the Knicks. Looks like Nerlens Noel is signing a 3-year deal, and so is Alec Burks. Nerlens Noel signing a $32 million deal, and Alex Burks signing a $30 million deal. I think Alec Burks definitely played himself into a big contract with the way that he played in the playoffs, and really was kind of the focal point of the offense at this point. And so I think that's the reason why he did get that big contract. So we'll see what happens in that aspect. There's a lot of things to talk about, and I think the Knicks kind of want to reassure and kind of go for round 2. The question for me is going to be, what players are available for them, or what are the guys that they're looking at that can help their team. So far, I think some of the guys that they could want, like Lonzo and all them, have just kind of done their thing. And Cameron Payne, it looks like he has re-signed to the Phoenix Suns, and he'll be making a 3-year, $19 million deal. I think that's a great deal for the Suns. I was curious to see how much Cameron Payne would want. Again, he was a little disappointing in the NBA Finals, but if you can get him on a cheap contract and get him for a cheaper price, then I think, then less than I would say $30 million, then I think he would be a great guy to kind of get back. And it looks like they did that on a 3-year, $19 million deal. He was very pivotal in the playoffs, and we kind of saw him kind of have a key part in the reason why the Phoenix Suns got to the NBA Finals, with his hustle, his tenacity, and maybe even a little bit of flopping as well from taking that shot from Jokic. But again, Cameron Payne signed to the Phoenix Suns. That is a pretty solid deal for them as well. And again, not really much, nothing too much. I think the biggest news that we can talk about here is the Kawhi Paul George sort of, I would say, situation. Westbrook called Kawhi to team up in LA in the 2019 offseason. That's kind of the big scandal, or maybe not even scandal, but that's kind of like the big sort of hoopla right now. This is kind of the story that Westbrook was trying to call Kawhi to team up, but then Kawhi called Paul George to team up with him in LA. And I think there's going to be some great battles between the Clippers and the Lakers, with these two battling it out and seeing who can really get to the mountaintop. The Lakers and the Clippers are both teams that could potentially contend for an NBA championship. I think the Phoenix Suns are probably still my number one, just due to the fact that they got to the Western Conference Finals. But I think that'll change depending on what signings that the LA Lakers can get. I think that the Westbrook does get them into the NBA Finals. But in terms of who's my kind of power rankings, I still have. Actually, you know what? I probably have the Lakers right now, just because they haven't signed Chris Paul yet to the Phoenix Suns. So I think the Lakers are number one right now, and I think this is going to be a fun battle between these two, and I can't wait to watch and see how those two will battle it out. And again, we got still waiting on a lot of stuff here. They're still waiting for some free agency news and rumors, but so far it's looking pretty solid for a lot of these guys out here. And we'll kind of refresh the page and see if there's any other breaking news coming from here. Like I said, Kelly Olynyk agreed to his deal. The Knicks have agreed to Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel. We talked about Garrett Temple will head to the New Orleans Pelicans. This is part of the big deal for Lonzo Ball to Chicago. And so far, there hasn't really been other sort of breaking news at this point, other than I think the biggest ones obviously are going to be Lonzo Ball signing a 4-year deal with the Bulls, and the Cavaliers keeping Jared Allen for another 5 years. So that's going to be a very good thing to see. What's going to be going on in that situation? Looks like the Nuggets are going to be able to keep Will Barton for a 2-year, $32 million deal. Not too bad. Extension eligible. Levine seeks respect in deal. I think he's looking for a commitment from the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, I think signing Lonzo Ball could have been that. But he's really looking for a commitment from the Chicago Bulls organization to really make sure that they're expecting to get to a championship and expecting a lot of things. To try and get to the playoffs and try and make a huge run, especially in the Eastern Conference where the bottom of the conference is a little bit weaker. You could definitely see him trying to hopefully force a scenario where the Chicago Bulls can finally contend for an NBA championship and kind of do their thing in that aspect. Again, Butler expected to get a massive deal from the Miami Heat. It makes me question whether or not that Kyle Lowry, who's on my screen right now, can that deal still happen? That's the biggest thing for me. And let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole situation of the moment? Do you guys like the fact that we're getting some great free agencies on the move, or are you guys concerned of your NBA team and seeing what they're going to be doing for their sort of situation at hand? And again, this is going to be the biggest kind of stories at the moment. Nothing too crazy right now to report. Again, TJ McConnell has agreed to a 4-year, $35 million deal to stay with the Pacers. Again, we're probably going to get some of the smaller deals right now. We're probably going to get the bigger deals a little bit later. Kind of the big ones besides, Lonzo and Jared Allen. We're still waiting for free agency at this moment. Kind of seeing what's going to be going on in this sort of situation. Again, still kind of waiting. Mike Conley, we talked about him already. From foes to teammates, we talked about this between those two. Salary cap, we talked about. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. going to be signing back. And really, that's kind of the big breaking news so far. Like I said, there's not really much else to report of this time, other than, of course, we got some small deals from a lot of these people that just have re-signed or have stayed with the team. Again, it's a good sign of health from the league. Curious to see how much Duncan Robinson gets. It looks like he's going to get like an $18 million deal, Tar Heel Nation. I know that's kind of been the biggest thing with the Miami Heat right now, is that they're looking to making sure that it is a team-friendly deal, but also making sure Duncan Robinson gets paid. I'm curious to see if anybody else in the market can kind of step up for Duncan Robinson or kind of push his price a little bit higher. Or is it because he is a kind of a Miami Heat guy that a lot of teams don't really see interest in him? I think he was a great player. And Sean, yeah, he signed for super cheap, man. It's like $6 million a year. You gotta love the idea of signing your backup guard for $6 million a year. It's not a bad option for the Phoenix Suns. I think that he'd be trouble to remiss to find any deal kind of in the similar boat. In any sort of situation like that. Cameron Payne signed a really super cheap deal, and you're definitely going to see him kind of run it back with the Phoenix Suns. My question is, are we going to get the Cameron Payne that we got in the NBA Finals, or are we going to get the Cameron Payne that we've got throughout the playoffs? Because Finals Cameron Payne was definitely a big disappointment to the Phoenix Suns organization, because they felt they could have gone really far and really honestly won that championship, if not for some of their role players, especially guys like Ayton, guys like Cameron Payne, not really stepping up to the plate during all 6 of those games that they played in. So again, we'll see what happens. And it'll be interesting to know what you guys think of free agency so far in the comment section down below. A lot of people are excited that the salary cap is a little bit higher. My concern, like I talked about, and I'm not sure if you guys really want to go into the discussion, but I really am concerned that if another lockdown is to happen, it's like Kyle Lowry has agreed to a 3-year sign and trade deal with Toronto per Vince Goodwill. It is official, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Lowry is going to be a Miami Heat. This was kind of my bold prediction. I really thought that Kyle Lowry I don't think he's looking for the super cheap deal. He's not going to try to sign a minimum to go to LA or these other teams that have tried to sign him. He's going to go to a team that's going to pay him a respectable wage. And it's looking like the Miami Heat are going to be that team. So again, breaking news. Kyle Lowry has officially signed with the Miami Heat, and he will be joining Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo in Miami, in South Beach, to try and hopefully contend with the Milwaukee Bucks and try to avenge the loss that they got against the Bucks a while back. So we'll see what happens. This was a great deal, man. We'll see what happens here. As we kind of continue to wait for more breaking news. Miami Heat, Kyle Lowry, let's go. It's a sign and trade, so we'll see what kind of pieces are involved in this sign and trade. I'm curious to see if they've said anything in it. We'll see what happens in this sort of scenario. Again, I'm not sure if Shams has kind of said anything yet. And we'll talk about Ben Simmons, who just appeared on the screen for you guys. There was rumors that Ben Simmons, they wanted 4 first-round picks for Ben Simmons. So we'll talk about that probably a little bit later in the stream, maybe towards the 45-minute mark. I really just want to wait about 10 more minutes to kind of wait and see what else is going to be coming into free agency. Again, super exciting news that Kyle Lowry is going to be a Miami Heat because it adds more variety in the league. There's going to be more players trying to vie for that championship, and we'll find out what's going to be going on in that aspect of who will really try to contend for that NBA championship. Again, Kyle Lowry has officially signed or is officially going to be traded away to the Miami Heat. It's going to be curious to see what kind of deal the Miami Heat have to give up to get that guy. And again, we'll find out what it is. And Tyler Hero gets cooked. Nah, I mean, that's kind of okay. And it looks like Duncan Robinson, the host of his Long Shot Pod, has agreed to a 5-year, $90 million contract to stay with the Miami Heat. Again, Miami Heat is actually for players looking to cash in. Miami, they apparently have all the cash in the world. I'm not sure what their salary cap's looking like before all these signings. Let's see what the Miami Heat salary cap is looking like. Because they just signed a lot of players. I'm curious to see what is involved. I think Goran Dragic is probably going to have to be traded away. Again, we'll see what the here we go. This is what I want. Again, they don't really have, I mean, looks like they do have a lot of cap space. Again, they signed Jimmy Butler to a $48 million deal. Obviously, I think Victor Oladipo is going to be going. Yeah, Victor Oladipo is going to be gone, man. I think he's going to probably, I think from what I heard, he might go to the Lakers. Again, that might be wishful thinking for Lakers fans, but he could be going there. Again, Andre Iguodala declined. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, those are 2 guys that I think they want to keep back and kind of get it going with them. So it looks like they need 5 more spots, it looks like, to fill in their whole roster. But, man, it is looking pretty solid if you're a Miami Heat fan right now. I'd be excited with the fact that you just got some pretty good players to re-sign for your team. We'll see what happens, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Looks like Torrey Craig has signed a 2-year, $10 million deal to sign with the Indiana Pacers. He'll still win his championship ring that he was on the team with the Milwaukee Bucks. He would have won a ring no matter what. And again, Kyle Lowry gonna sign for there. Again, it's very interesting that Duncan Robinson, not saying that anything wrong with that, but $90 million for a 5-year deal, not too shabby for a great shooter. I would have loved to seen him on a different team, to be honest with you, but hey, man, you gotta enjoy this while you can. And we'll see what happens with the rest of this Miami Heat squad. What's going to be part of the sign and trade with a guy like Kyle Lowry. I know that Goran Dragic can be a very limited player at times. TJ McConnell to the Pacers, it's over. I mean, with him and Sabonis, it might be over. It might be over for those guys. Duncan Robinson goes undrafted. And then in 2018, Kevin O'Connor kind of says it best. Shout out to Duncan Robinson going undrafted in 2018 to signing a $90 million extension. Great for him, man. Congrats, Duncan Robinson. I love the podcast. I think it's a very solid podcast. If you guys haven't listened to it, not trying to shill for the guy, but kind of watching some of his stuff. If you are a basketball coach or someone that's really interested in perfecting your game of basketball, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, whether you are a GM or whatever it is. I think learning from Duncan Robinson's podcast and having the guys that he does have on, guys like Bobby Portis and many of these other guys, definitely you can get a lot of life lessons out of it. So check out the podcast. But congrats to Duncan Robinson, man. Undrafted free agent to $90 million player. You know, you love to see it in the NBA, and you love to see when people succeed like that. Again, Zion Williamson is trending. Looks like, you know, Zion Williamson trading away Lonzo Ball. They're all upset right now, it looks like. And I would be too as a player. You know, losing a guy like Lonzo definitely hurts the team. It'll be curious to see what will be going on in that sort of situation in terms of, you know, what's going to be the big breaking news. But nevertheless, we'll see what happens as it pertains to sort of the breaking news. You know, we're still waiting to hear. Looks like Doug McDermott is going to sign to a 3-year, $42 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs. Him taking Doug McDermott, getting that big of a deal just to be a kind of a certified role player is going to be kind of tough. That's a lot of money to give to a role player. And again, it is kind of crazy to see all the breaking news that's coming out of free agency right now. We're still waiting to hear from a lot of other sources, a lot of other stuff to see what's going to be going on. Again, like I said, Kyle Lowry agrees to join the Heat. Duncan Robinson signs his big deal. And TJ McConnell signs his deal as well. This is going to be a lot of breaking news. We're still waiting, like I said, to hear from many other teams. Again, we're still waiting to hear from the Celtics. What are they going to do in free agency? It looks like most of the free agents right now are it's kind of drying up for the Celtics at this point, and I'll be curious to see if they will make any moves in the trades or anything like that. Yeah, I did see that. Dougie McBuckets to the Spurs. Be interesting to see here. And it looks like Chris Paul, breaking news, everybody. Chris Paul has officially signed his contract extension with the Phoenix Suns. A deal to be worth $120 million for a guy who is already 36 years old, going to be there for 4 more years. That is absolutely crazy at this point. 4 years, $120 million deals, and it expires when he is 40 years old. That, to me, is crazy. You know, we're talking a big contract, again, for a guy that's going to be 40 by the time he retires. Or sorry, I should say by the time this contract is over. So that kind of goes to tell you that he's going to play in this league for a while. He wants to play. He wants to be in this league until he's like 40 years old. You know, kind of getting some people texting me right now about the Phoenix Suns big deal. But yeah, just letting you guys know, we do have breaking news. Chris Paul has just signed a 4-year, $120 million extension to stay in Phoenix, and that is absolutely crazy. I know a lot of guys were talking about Chris Paul to the Lakers. When you're getting offered 4 years, $120 million, I think that's hard to say no to, and I think the Phoenix Suns were on the right path. Now the question is, they need to get some production and some value out of DeAndre Ayton, and hopefully get him to work on his skill, because right now it's looking pretty crazy. I'm still waiting to hear what the trade of the Miami Heat to Kyle Lowry situation. Still waiting to hear about this, but you know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to see the deal. Not due to the fact that he doesn't deserve it, but you know, as someone that is already 40 years old, will be 40 years old by the time he is done playing. It's crazy to think that he got such a big deal. And seeing if he will be playing all those 4 years, or there's going to be a situation like that where he just doesn't play all 4 years. You know, we'll see what happens. Again, nothing too crazy in the free agency news as of right now. Taylor Brooks, best part of this tweet is the plug for his podcast. Absolutely. Again, crazy breaking news. Let me know, you guys that are live with us right now, or guys that are watching us. You know, what do you guys make of everything right now? What do you guys make? What's the craziest move so far of this free agency period? Tar Heel Nation or Sean and Justin, if you're in here as well, you know, what's the craziest move so far? I think for me, I would honestly have to say that Lonzo Ball signing with the Chicago Bulls. I know that that is kind of one that was obvious or something that was kind of in the papers. But the reason why I find it crazy is because I'm curious to see if Lonzo Ball thinks that the Chicago Bulls are a team that he can definitely win a championship with, and seeing if he's a guy that you could see kind of being the missing piece in Chicago. That's going to be my kind of break. That's going to be my surprise of the free agency. It seems like there were two guys that negotiated Chris Paul's new deal. Hey, man, I need those guys as my attorneys, or as my lawyers and free agents. Lots of overpays for average players. Sean, who do you think is getting overpaid so far, in your opinion? Who's the player in your opinion that's getting overpaid the most? I mean, we can play that game in a little bit. I kind of want to talk about the Ben Simmons kind of rumors about him. They want 4 first-round draft picks for him. I'll talk about that in a little bit because it is 45, so I will talk about it. But Sean, let me know in the live chat who you think is the most overrated, or should I say overpaid players. Some of these teams should seriously consider tanking instead of signing average players to improve their already below average teams. Yeah, I think, Sean, what I'm seeing here is that these are moves to where they could potentially sign. I think it almost kind of reminds me of the time, I think it's the 2017, 2016 free agency class where guys like Oladipo were getting $100 million contracts. I think for me, what I'm noticing is that these contracts are big for a reason. I think they're trying to look at moves to potentially trade some of these guys away, like the Jared Allen deal. I think that's a move that's going to help them get another superstar to come to Cleveland, and kind of maybe use him and Colin Sexton in the trade. I think that's kind of what I'm seeing here. At least that's kind of my opinion. Again, we talked about Mike Conley already agreeing to this deal. Looks like it's a $68 million deal, whereas Wojnarowski said it was a 72.5. Who knows who's right, but I think Shams, I'm going to go with Shams there. And like I said, we got Chris Paul, breaking news with him signing a 4-year, $120 million contract. By the time he's 40, he's going to have $120 million in his pocket. I'm not sure how much is guaranteed at this point, but the fact that you got $120 million is going to be, it's pretty tasty if you are a fan of the Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul to get that deal. It's crazy to think that, he got a crazy big deal at this point of his career again. But again, we'll see what's going on in the sort of situation. Bernie, as a member of the Celtics fan base, should we shift our focus to laughing at the Lakers for an impending first-round exit while our season continue to tread the water with players like Jason Richardson? To be honest with you, Tar Heel Nation, I think it's going to be a very dry season for us in free agency, just due to the fact that we're so constrained right now with the way our contracts are situated. We still have Al Horford on our contracts and our books. I think we should honestly try and trade for picks and try to get younger, in my opinion. I think for me, the reason why I'm looking to get younger is because I don't think anybody wants to trade with us. I think Danny Ainge did a disservice for us and really, really screwed us up in a major way. That really affected us, honestly, for the foreseeable future. I don't see us getting back. I don't see us getting back in a very long time. I see us kind of still struggling to try and get there and try to get to a championship. I still think we're going to struggle hella. Unfortunately, I don't think we can be laughing at any team right now, and we really should be laughing at ourselves. Kelly is probably the biggest overpaid, but I don't get the Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry signing. I think they're just looking to kind of compete in the East, Sean. I think, to me, it's like they're trying to form like a Island of Misfit Toys super team, where it's like guys that you don't think will fit together will kind of get there. I don't think we're gonna tank for Amani. I think what's gonna happen, we still have 4 years left of Jason Tatum, or sorry, I should say, I think we have 4 years left of Jason Tatum. Let me see what the Celtics contract is looking like. I think we have a very long time with these guys. I mean, Jason Tatum, we still have 5 years with him. Al Horford, it looks like, let me just make sure let me look at the salary cap table and see how many years they have left. Again, we're still waiting for these contracts to get going. I'm not sure if it'll show me kind of what the let me see the multi-year summary. There we go. Jaylen Brown is going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2024. So we have, we have 3 years with him. Jason Tatum's just signed his contract. So by the time it's 2025, we're probably going to still be able to have him as well. And again, you look at Josh Richardson. Again, not something I'm really convinced about. Hopefully we can kind of see what we can do with that deal. Al Horford, a guy that I want to get off the books immediately. I'm not sure what we have to do to get off the books, but it is frustrating to see that we're overpaying for a guy like Al Horford. I think we should just try to get younger, man. To me, I think the Celtics blew their opportunity a couple years back. You can want Amani's mom at the Celtics games, Tar Heel. And he's talking about Amani Bates, not Amari Bailey, Sean. Amari Bailey is the point guard from Sierra Canyon. Amani Bates is a small forward. He was the guy that I said it was him versus Chet Holmgren a couple years, or like a year ago, and they kind of faced off in a rivalry matchup. But yeah, I mean the Celtics right now, like I said, we shouldn't be laughing at anybody. We really shouldn't be making fun of anybody. Like I said, we blew our opportunity a couple years back. And it really pisses me off because we had an opportunity to kind of maybe win a championship, try to contend for a title, but again, we blew our load, we blew our chances, we traded away Kyrie instead of trying to see what we can do with him, and we also blew it with Gordon Hayward, where I think, as much as we don't like Gordon Hayward as a person, I think as a player, he's still a pretty solid player, and we saw what he was able to do. Honestly, for the Charlotte Hornets, and now for us, we just potentially got screwed in that aspect. Again, we're still waiting to hear from free agency. We're still looking at the NBA free agency news and rumors. We're still waiting to see if there's any new deals. Again, wow, this is the largest ever deal for an undrafted player. That's awesome. Good for him, man. Again, we're still waiting for any type of news and rumors to kind of come out of the NBA. Adrian Wojnarowski hasn't tweeted too much so far. Kind of talked about that Chris Paul deal. We'll see if Shams has kind of reported anything. We're still waiting to hear from this whole situation right now. Doug McDermott's kind of the latest breaking news. I don't think he's reported anything on the Chris Paul deal, so he was definitely not the first one to kind of talk about that. But again, it doesn't really matter. Both these guys are looking to do their thing. Again, we're looking at NBA free agency. John Collins, again, kind of trending on Twitter. No, we're still waiting on here. We're still waiting on this guy to see what he's going to do. See if he will re-sign or if he's going to just kind of stay in the free agency market and see who's going to be wanting to try to get him going. Looks like Chicago could be interested in DeMar DeRozan as well. It looks like DeMar DeRozan, according to Hoop Central, has signed a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. Let me make sure it's not fake. Yeah, I knew it was going to be fake. Not really too crazy about that. Cool for you, bro. Still waiting on some kind of big free agency news. Like we talked about, TJ McConnell, kind of the biggest thing. So while we kind of wait for more breaking news to come about, let me go over to the Ben Simmons news. This one to me was kind of the one I was looking at the most and trying to monitor. The asking price for Ben Simmons is kind of ridiculous. 76 are questions to answer as they head to free agency on Monday night. One of those questions has nothing to do with free agency. Like I said, their asking price has been steep. They wanted 4 potential first-round picks for Ben Simmons. And look, I want to be realistic with these 76ers fans and also the organization. The reason why Ben Simmons is not going high in the free agency market as of right now in 2021, as of August 2nd, 2021, is because we all have seen Ben Simmons in the playoffs, and it is not pretty. The last couple of years, we can look at his playoff series and kind of look at his playoff stats. I mean, let's look at his stats in the playoffs. And kind of look at what he was able to do. This kind of off season, we'll look at the playoff logs for him. Again, I'm gonna see if we can just get to Ben Simmons. I don't really want to look at the playoff logs. I kind of want to just go to Ben Simmons. And we can kind of go to playoff Ben Simmons. And, you know, to me, the disappointing thing is that it's been a regression, to be honest with you, each and every year. Like, when we look at guys like Ben Simmons, when we look at the whole sort of situation with Ben Simmons, and for you guys joining on the charge, thank you once again for joining here. Again, we are talking a lot of breaking news again. The breaking news so far, Chris Paul has signed a big deal, $120 million for 4 years, making him 40 years old by the time the contract is done. Jarrett Allen to a 5-year, $100 million deal. Mike Conley going to re-sign with the Utah Jazz. Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel going to sign respectfully. Both those contracts are about worth $30 million each. Duncan Robinson re-signed to a $90 million contract. And the Miami Heat have just traded for Kyle Lowry. So that's kind of the breaking news as of right now. But to kind of go back to the Ben Simmons story, the reason why I get frustrated with it is because, like I said, I was hoping that Ben Simmons would be a guy that would be at least kind of similar to Magic Johnson, where he is a 6'10", strong point guard type of player that was able to get other people the ball in the right spaces. And, you know, he has done that to a certain degree these last couple of years, obviously averaging 8.8 assists this year. But the problem is that when we look at kind of the three-point percentage and we look at other things, you know, the thing for me is like when we look at his shooting chart, and we can take a look at that for and see if we can find his kind of shot chart for right now. This was his kind of his shooting chart for career. It's been very, very limited, and we kind of see here that he has not taken a lot of 3-point shots. And I'll kind of show you guys what the range looks like. You know, inside the paint is perfect, but once you get outside a little bit, it's 35%. It's 46%. Only 6 of 13, and this is career-wise. We're not talking just this season. You know, this is 66%. You know, obviously 2 of 3, didn't really shoot that much. 14% from the top left, 0% from the top right, and corner he's 33%, which kind of goes to show you throughout his whole career, he has taken 3, 10, 17, 21, 24 three-pointers in his whole career. He has taken 24 three-pointers in his whole career. And to me, what kind of baffles me is that the 76ers look at this. They look at the shot chart. They look at the analytics. Analytics may tell you one thing for a regular season, but I need to know during a playoff series, what do the analytics tell me? And the analytics tell me when I look at the stats, it's not very good. Yes, he's averaging 62% from the floor, but where is he shooting him from? Is he expanding his range? Like, I can guard, you know, the fact that anybody that watches the league, the fact that basically Ben Simmons can be in this position right here and their defender can literally be about right here guarding him. To me, that is something that has to be addressed, and that's something that has to be fixed immediately, because if you're not able to extend the defense, I can literally just back off you. I can be and help defense a little bit more and not worry about you as a player. Especially, you know, when Joel Embiid kind of taking on the double team and kind of being the offensive focal point, and even then, you know, with him, it's an injury history and it's an injury concern with him. My biggest concern, obviously, is going to be the fact that he cannot shoot the three or even anything outside of 12 feet. You know, when we go out to here around the free throw line, 35%. When we go out to here, it's a low percentage. These are low percentage numbers from Ben Simmons. And the fact that that's kind of the situation that we're seeing right now, it's kind of baffling to me why teams are looking at him to be not teams, but I should really say the 76ers are asking teams for 4. I'm not saying 1. I'm not saying 2 or 3. 4 future first round draft picks. That, to me, is going to be unheard of, and you're not going to get that deal. You're not getting the deal of Ben Simmons for 4 first-round draft picks. It is not going to happen. As much as you would love for it to happen, as much as you would love to see Ben Simmons take that big contract and kind of big sort of responsibility in that aspect, you're just not going to be able to get that from him. I think that's wishful thinking. I think it's something that a lot of teams have to be realistic with themselves and to kind of say that they are not going to be able to get that huge deal, man. They're not going to be able to get that big contract. Or sorry, not even big contract. They're not going to be able to kind of get the pieces to suffice that big contract. Like I said, playoff series wise, he is taking less field goals each and every year he's been in the playoffs. From since 2018, or I should say 2018, all the way to now, which is 2020, 2021. You can't go continuing in this league not being able to shoot the ball, not being able to extend the defense, and the fact that you are shooting less and less each and every year and making less and less each and every year, to me, it's a huge concern. Playing almost the same amount of minutes, and again, only averaging 7.8 2-point shots a game. Meanwhile, we can go over to a guy like Embiid and look at his shot attempts, and I know that this is kind of, apples and oranges at this point, but the fact that he averages 14 shots in the 2-point area, and even 3-point shots, he's averaging at least 3.7, at least 4 a game. Let's look at a guy like Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is kind of the second guy scoring option-wise. I mean, let's look at his kind of shot attempts. He's averaging about 7.4. He's averaging about 17 field goals a game. Meanwhile, we go back to a guy like Ben Simmons, playoff series wise, he's averaging only 7.9 field goals a game. Ben ain't been the same since he scored 1 point in that playoff game. He honestly hasn't been the same, Tar Heel Nation, and to me, it's the frustrating part about the 76ers is that they honestly are not realistic as to what Ben Simmons is at this point of his career. We look at a guy that has been in the league for about 4 or 5 years now. I would say 5 years, it's 5 or 6 if you want to include his did not play year. And the frustrating part about it, guys, is the fact that for a guy that's supposed to be the next Magic Johnson, the next LeBron James, and maybe that's the fault of us kind of expecting that from him, but in my humble opinion, my biggest concern with a guy like Ben Simmons is now the 76ers are stuck with him. They gave him the big contract. They thought that it was going to work out. But unfortunately, he just hasn't progressed to a point where I'm like, yes, this guy is going to grow. He's going to develop. He's going to be the next it thing. And it has not happened. And let's kind of keep a track on it. So far, we're kind of looking at it in the moment. Again, Tim Hardaway Jr. signs his deal. Bleacher Report looking for a sign-in trade. We're going to see what that sign-in trade is. The deal is 3 years, $90 million for Kyle Lowry. And now they're going to have to fill out the rest of the roster with minimum. I mean, they're trying to contend for a championship. I'm not sure if this is enough, in my opinion, but it's going to be an interesting situation. Again, nothing too crazy, but just to go back to my Ben Simmons argument, and for my people that are here right now, Tar Heel Nation, you being one of them, my biggest complaint has always been with Ben Simmons is, when are you going to take that next progression? When are you going to take that next leap of faith? When are you going to become the player that a lot of people thought you were going to be? Whether that is Magic Johnson or whether that's a LeBron James or whatever type of player you are. To me, the most disappointing thing about this whole thing for, I would say, the 76ers is now they're stuck with him. They're stuck on a big contract. We can even look at Ben Simmons' contract at this point. We can go to Ben Simmons as a player. And look at that big contract and really get an idea that now they're in the second year of a big contract and they are not going to be able to, they're on the hook. They are now on the hook with Ben Simmons until the 2025 season. Like that has to tell you something, for a guy that's going to get about $35 million, $40 million at his highest point. I think that they made a huge mistake. Yeah, Ben Simmons would rather play COD, Warzone than work on his free throw at this point. He should just granny style his shots. Like, and to me, like we've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel, especially me. You know, I think Peter, my boy Pete, I should say, and Brad and Logan, and I think Tyrese isn't a big Ben Simmons fan, but for the most part, I have been very consistent with Ben Simmons since his since his third year, or his second year playing, I should say. You know, he just hasn't progressed to a point where I'm like, yes, this guy is going to be an all-star, a future NBA Hall of Fame player, is going to do a great job of, you know, commanding the offense and also taking care of everything. And now I just look at it, and it's just going to be a situation where now they're stuck with him for this huge contract. He's not worth 4 first-round picks. You can try and trade him for a player to kind of get him off the books for contract-wise. But I think a fresh change of scenery, honestly, would do Ben Simmons good. Because I think the 76ers fan base is going to turn on him and going to turn on him quick. The question is going to be, where is he going to get that opportunity, and what teams are going to be looking to get a guy that's going to be making almost $37 million as your second guy? I wouldn't say maybe Chandler Parson vibes, but to me, it's more so like really, I don't know, like very bad, just horrible contract. And I think that, you know, the 76ers should have put a clause in that they need to get a guarantee with the percentages of his shooting, because I think honestly that may be a thing. You know, he got All NBA team, it triggered $190 million. If he's able to get All NBA first team, it goes up to 203. There's a lot of contracts situations in here. You know, no NBA All Team, he only gets $170 million. So we'll see if he's able to get that big contract and get so far the NBA first team. Supreme Gamer, what's up, man? How you doing? I think it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've seen your name or even just kind of talked to you in a while. Hopefully you're doing well, Supreme Gamer. I just kind of went on my rant. Looks like Jeff Green is on the move. Let's see where he is signed to. Jeff Green to the Denver Nuggets. Okay, not a bad fit. Jeff Green, you know, I think if they don't want to sign Chris Paul, that's not a bad deal, man. That's not a bad look. Not a bad look to get Jeff Green on your team. Sterling Brown signed a deal with the Mavericks. That's pretty dope. Good to see that he is getting a contract with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm curious to see how that Dallas Mavericks roster is going to shape up. Yeah, excited for free agency. Man, Supreme Gamer, we are having a blast right now. You know, we're talking a lot about kind of what's going on in the free agency. Of course, we got Jarrett Allen signing a big deal. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. We got Chris Paul obviously signing a huge contract to stay with the Phoenix Suns. Kyle Lowry getting traded. Duncan Robinson signing a $90 million deal. This is going to be a lot of fun to talk about as we continue to wait and see who else is going to sign here. And again, it looks like we're getting David Nwaba signing a 3-year, $15 million deal to stay with the Houston Rockets. Green is going to Denver for a mid-level exception. That is a lot of fun. Again, this is some great stuff that we're seeing here, man. Great stuff. I'm going to have this playing in the background as we kind of continue. I'll probably continue for like another maybe 20-30 minutes, and then I'm probably going to head out of here and come back on tomorrow around like 10, actually more like 11, 12 o'clock, and really get going on talking about what is going on in NBA free agency. Again, super exciting times for a lot of people as we kind of continue to watch and see who else is going to get signed. But to kind of finish off my Ben Simmons rant, I never thought that Ben Simmons was worth the extension. For a guy that doesn't shoot the ball, it is very disappointing to see that Ben Simmons has not taken that next progression in his game. And, you know, it's not one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can do it later. I can, you know, kind of push it off till the end. Nah, this is something that you have to work on now, especially in the way that your team is constructed at this point. If we look at the 76ers, I think they're constructed. I'm not sure if we can kind of see the teams. I wish we could kind of go by team, but maybe we just have to do this. Kind of look at what they're working with right now, salary cap table. You know, they're on the hook for Joel Embiid. We can look at the multi-year summary for these guys. Again, you know, you still have Ben Simmons for a long time. You have Ben Simmons for a very long time. You signed a supermax with him. We can go to Joel Embiid. His contract is done after 2 years. Who knows if he's going to want to play for this team again, or he's going to try and go to a new team to kind of work on his deal. Maybe the 76ers might even trade him. I know that a lot of people are looking at Ben Simmons as the guy they could trade, but hear me out on this. Joel Embiid only has 2 years left on his deal. Like, could Joel Embiid be the guy that they trade away and hopefully get something from him? Because you have Tobias Harris there until 2023, 2024. Maybe as the 76ers, you just flush everything down the toilet and just kind of rebuild and kind of get a new team. I mean, like I said, I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. I'll make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see it a little bit better. Again, Maurice Thybulle, you're going to have to pay him at some point. Seth Curry, if you want to keep him, that's up to them. Like I said, Tyrese Maxey going to be at the club for a very long time. George Hill, not going to re-sign with him. Tobias Harris there until 2023, 2024. But Joel Embiid is gone in 2022, and I could definitely see Joel Embiid trying to leave and go to a new team because I think he's tired of the way that the 76ers have not built a roster around him to kind of get this team to go to the NBA Finals, to get over the hump of the Eastern Conference Finals. They were only able to do it one time to get to the Eastern Conference Final, and that was, of course, against the Toronto Raptors, where Kawhi Leonard hit a crazy shot to get them going. And again, when we look at all the stuff that's going on, it's a very crazy situation to see. And I definitely can see him of Embiid going. To me, it's like you have to trade Ben Simmons. Let's see. Mo Harkless going to sign a 2-year deal to go with the Sacramento Kings. That's pretty cool. And so far, we haven't gotten anything like that. I like the idea of trading Embiid. His body is a ticking time bomb, so many injury. I think that's the thing. I think maybe Joel Embiid isn't a number one guy in terms of a guy you can rely on game in and game out to get you going. I think you're going to have to look at it, and it's going to be one of those situations where maybe you chill a little bit. And maybe he becomes the second or third guy on your team, especially number two, and kind of be the second guy on your team to kind of build around, and we'll see what happens there. Maybe we see a situation where DeAndre Ayton maybe a trade there. I'm not sure if that'll work out contract-wise. We'll have to take a look. But if I'm the 76ers, I don't want to lose Joel Embiid for nothing. I think if you don't trade Ben Simmons away and kind of build around Joel Embiid now, I think you could see a situation where they just trade Joel Embiid. I know Embiid would want his money. I think that's kind of what a lot of people are thinking. But if I'm in his position, why would I want that? Why would I want the idea of signing there a long-term extension and staying in 76er land until I'm old and they haven't built a team around me and I'm still playoff list, I'm still not in the Eastern Conference Finals? I think that is something to look forward to and something to look at. Per sources, the Boston Celtics are focused on keeping their salary cap clean as possible for the 2022 free agency. That to me is a little disappointing. I think it kind of goes to show you that we are we're gonna stick with what we got, and we're just gonna have to. For my people that like to drink, you're gonna have to drink a lot of tequila, a lot of beer to kind of get this. The idea of the Boston Celtics not really doing their thing, and excuse me as I got something in my eye really quick. Ooh. But again, this is the situation that we're looking at right now. Joel Embiid considers option but needs spacing. The problem is, Supreme Gamer, I'm not sure if his body can be a number one option. We've seen it time and time again that he's not able to stay healthy throughout the whole season, and even in the playoffs, he was kind of hurt up and banged up. To me, I don't know if I can really trust a guy like Joel Embiid to stay healthy the whole time. To me, I would say my frustration, or more so like the sadness, is that I see situations where I can see him being the number one guy, but his body just keeps failing him. And I want to see him, take care of it a lot better. I'm very curious to know what you guys think of that. Again, I'm not so sure that Joel Embiid can be. I know that a lot of people want him to be, but we have to be realistic in the fact that, is he going to be a guy that can stay healthy? Conditioning, we could talk about conditioning all the time, Supreme Gamer. My only problem with him is that Is he going to be a guy that can take care of himself? And then really to me, it's not so much like I think he's taking care of himself a respectable amount, I should say. You know, kind of respectable in a situation where like he does take care of it a little bit. But it seems like he just gets hurt no matter what his situation is, whether he is fully healthy or whether he's just kind of okay. Looks like the Heat are interested in Bobby Portis, but it's looking more than a $9.5 million exception. Probably looking to get Olynyk and Jeff Green money. You know, I think Bobby Portis, if he was smart, he would look at the. Honestly, I would like him at the Boston. I think he would actually be a good fit there. That's kind of like a hustle guy. I think he would be a great fit. Again, but it looks like we're going to be waiting until next year's free agency to actually do something about it and to actually, kind of contend for free agencies. I mean, I don't know who's a free agent in 2022. We can take a look at who's a free agent in that time era. We can take a look because I think it's looking like that's where we're going to go. You're going to get James Harden. Player option could decline it. Westbrook could decline his player option. Durant could decline his. Steph Curry's going to sign a huge one, so he's not going to be off. He's going to be kind of extending his deal. Jimmy Butler extending his deal. But guys, Kyrie Irving, I definitely do not see that reunion happening. Zach LaVine could be a free agent. Rudy Gay, Valanciunas, a lot of guys that could definitely be helping. My question is, is there enough there for these guys to get going and to get us to the promised land? I'm not so sure. And that's kind of my concern at this moment is, do the Celtics even have one? Is there even any players out there that the Celtics would want? I think James Harden would be the only one, in my opinion. I just don't think he really fits our steez and our system. So we'll see what happens, man. This is going to be a fun free agency, and we're just going to wait another 4 minutes before we sign out of here. We're still waiting on some free agency news, seeing if there's anything else to talk about free agency wise. Like I said, Mo Harkless just signed a deal with the Sacramento Kings. Nothing too far to report. Other than that, we're still waiting on some contracts. We talked about Hoop Central kind of being starting 26 minutes ago, and we got a lot of stuff going on from here. And again, we're still waiting on kind of what's going to be going on here. Celtics got Beal without losing Brown. I think the only way it happens, Supreme Gamer, is in 2 years. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And by then, I think it's going to be too late, and the Celtics right now are just stuck debating and kind of seeing what they can do to get themselves going. Because right now, it's looking very depressing at this point. And I don't think the Celtics really have the wherewithal to kind of keep going to, I would say, kind of contend for a championship or even do anything, to be honest with you. It is frustrating at this point. You look at a guy like I talked about with Brad Stevens, and to me, he's kind of disappointing us with the way that he is operating and kind of doing his thing right now. I would say it's the most frustrated I've been as a Celtics fan. We haven't signed any free agents. We haven't really done anything to get ourselves over the hump. We've kind of stayed stagnant this whole time. We haven't really done anything to get us going. And again, it is frustrating to watch us each and every time just not be able to really do anything to help our teams win. We're still hoping and praying that that something will happen. And I just don't think it's going to happen for us. And that's kind of the frustrating part, I would say, of being a Boston Celtics fan, is that we're still looking for that next guy. We're still looking for a situation where we can be, trying to get in there. But again, we'll see what happens. It looks like Boban is going to sign a $4.2 million extension. We'll see if that kind of stays place or what the contract's going to be. But with that being said, I think we're going to kind of do it here for the charge. Again, I want to appreciate each and every one of you for coming out here today. Nothing too crazy to report so far. Looks like Korkmaz has signed a 3-year, $15 million deal to stay with the 76ers. That's not a bad deal. Looks like free agent Bobby Portis has signed a deal to stay with Milwaukee. He likes his chances of winning another championship in Milwaukee. I think for a team that gave him, honestly, the option to kind of grow and develop and to kind of be in his own role. We talked about Bobby Portis time and time again, from a guy that was cut a guy that a lot of people saw as kind of like a cheap player, the way that I believe he tripped somebody, if I'm not mistaken, and to kind of go from that to where he's at right now. It's kind of awesome to see that he's taken that next step progression forward, won a championship, and was able to be a huge contributor to the Milwaukee Bucks as we continue to monitor free agency, and to look at who's going to be the team that might take the mantle of champion next year. If it's going to be one of these teams that just signed some recent players, whether it's Bobby, whether it's Duncan Robinson, Sterling Brown, whoever it is, you're going to definitely see a very interesting matchup, and we're going to see a lot of very interesting scenarios as we continue to monitor, like I said, NBA free agency. But without further ado, I would like to thank each and every one of you. Gary Trent Jr. has signed a 3-year deal to return to the Toronto Raptors, something that the Blazers should have done, but it is what it is at this point. I would have loved Gary Trent, honestly, in Portland. I'm not sure why they traded him away. It was still the dumbest trade in my opinion, but it is what it is at this point. You know, they kind of just have done their thing. And this is what Shams had to say about the Bobby Portis deal, because he just tweeted about it. After the championship, Bobby Portis was loyal with Milwaukee, and he cherished the organization's culture and winning environment. The Milwaukee community embraced him. Portis passed on more money in favor of the Bucks last summer, and this year he's stoked with the happiness and stability. And that's good for him, man. I'm glad that he kind of found a team that kind of values him, and we saw the difference when he was in the game and when he was not in the game. But that being said, I think that's really going to do it here for the Charge. I'm giving you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And again, we're still waiting on confirmation on some of these trades, but for the most part, they have been accepted. We have seen a definite kind of growth and situation for these teams. And again, you know, maybe I might be on a little bit later tonight to kind of do a late night recap of free agency. But right now, that is going to do it here for the Charge. Like I said, I'll probably be on later tonight, maybe around 9 or 10 o'clock. Appreciate 9 or 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys are on the West Coast, look forward to a stream tonight. Probably about 10 o'clock, I would say, when the stream will be. But with that being said, thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinion. And to kind of let you guys go before I let you guys go, it looks like Trae Young is expected to get the extension and accept it. It's going to be a deal worth $170 million with the potential to reach $201 million, depending on if he's able to make these All-NBA teams and also All-Star games and whatnot. So again, appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into The Charge. We'll give you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And to also let you guys know that we do have merchandise if you guys are interested in, supporting the Charge in any way possible, whether that's with merchandise or whether that's just kind of chilling and kind of doing your thing. Again, I'll kind of put the merchandise over here with the tip as well if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. But here's the merch if you guys are interested in t-shirts, mugs, and a hat. Those are our 4 items that we offer here on the Charge. So again, line up, try and get these items. If not, we also have a donation link as well if you guys are interested in donating to the channel and having your message and your name pull up with a song, and kind of get yourself going with it in terms of helping out the channel, kind of cover some expenses that we have here, whether it's cameras or microphones or an office studio at some point. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it here for the Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. I do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into the channel, helping it out by watching it, hitting that like button. We have 13 likes. Can we get 7 more for 20 likes? 20 likes, I think, will be a good indicator of how much you mess with the channel. So try and hit that 20 like goal that I have for you guys here until I stream next, which will be around 10 o'clock. I might even... we're obviously going to be streaming tomorrow, but definitely 10 o'clock is what my focus is. But that is enough of me doing some show promotion. We're going to make sure that there's no updated situation here. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace, guys. Have a safe day, and we'll be back on tonight around 9 or 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Probably more towards 9:30, 10-ish. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.